Hi team, in this session I'm going to talk about getting ready for project presentation, which is just a little bit away from now. So here's where we're going to start from. You need to give your project a title, put your name there, which vertical you are from, and what the account is. Do take time to think about your project title. Give it something catchy, something interesting that people will remember. Alright, now we're starting with the question why? Why this project? A lot of people forget that we jump into the nuts and bolts of it without explaining why was this done in the first place. Now every business has something called a predictable future. That is the trajectory which it is on. And your project is looking at the whole system and saying what could be the impact if we let things go the way they are. What are the risks faced and what are the opportunities that we could miss, and starting with the big why sets the tone for your listeners to get the reason why this project was chosen in the first place. So now we come to the what is the high value job to be done. You remember we talked about the different levels of problems, and you don't want to go after the small devils. You want to go after the high value problem that the business is facing. The second question that you must answer in your what slide is, what is the one top barrier? Of course there are multiple barriers and you may want to put another one at best, but keep things simple. What is the one top barrier for achieving this high value job to be done? Who is your ideal customer for this project? Who would be the kind of person who would buy this thought from you? And who could be some of the early adopters? We use the term early adopters in business primarily from checking out, will our idea fly or not? And you want to test the project idea. So I do understand that you are midway in your projects, you are working on that, but you need to identify who could be an early adopter with whom I could test the project with. Next, you come to how, and we use the term who could be your hero to emulate. When we use the word hero, we mean who has solved this problem exceptionally well. In design thinking terms, we call them the extreme users. So who are some of the people who you could emulate from? Who are the cutting edge people in this frame? The second thing in this is, what are the assets you are going to leverage? What assets do you already have in terms of team, in terms of people, in terms of connections that you're going to leverage to make this project happen? And third, which stakeholder can you co-create it with? Remember, we do not go by the idea that you should fly solo and present a grand idea at the end of it. That type of thinking is really over. You must co-create. So wherever you are in your project, you must involve your stakeholder and co-create it with them. Run it past them, get input, so that your project is going to be that much more stronger when you present it. You now come to your overall process map. What does the process map look like? So typically you want to make a process map that has got two types of it. One, a high level, which says sort of a 30,000 foot level process map that gives maybe 5, 6, 7 blocks, no more than that. And then you may have another process map which would go into the details of each of those blocks. Very often when you present a project, it's important to be able to show the high level view, and you can tell the listeners that if you want me to go into any specific block, I have the full detail behind that. Okay, and now you come to the which. What stage of the outcome are you in? Where is this project at right now? Your leaders who are going to come in for this session understand that this short period of time is not enough to probably complete everything you set out to do. But what stage are you at? And hopefully you are much further down than merely ideating, but you've actually checked out with various people what the project is looking like. And the next thing that you want to say is, this is the top constraint you will be working on next. Great. This project that you're doing is in the context of doing competencies, of embedding the competencies in your system. So, for example, as you go along in your presentation to the leadership, you will want to refer to these competencies, such as in client focus, I invested time to understand the client's need. I kept my stakeholders in the loop, and the tool that I used was a 4-step model. Now, your 4-step model is in your books, and you know what that is. This is actually a simplified design thinking model that you are actually using, which throws up what is it that the client's needs are, and keeping client focus over there. In the competency of managing teams, it covers ideas such as created opportunities to work collaboratively. So how may we manage our teams better? We talked about several tools in this particular area, and first one was getting feedback on our own performance, and the tool over here is the feedback EBI tool. You remember, even better if tool. It's a very simple tool to use, and if you haven't done this, if you haven't got feedback from your team, it's probably time to buckle down and get this done. The second thing is to give feedback to your employee, and a great way to do it is using the co-creation canvas. You remember the 4 quadrants that are there: working, not working yet, missing, and next. So ask them how they are doing, what's working for them right now in their work, and what's not working yet. So it'll throw up a bunch of stuff in their performance that you might want to look at. And then you come to this very interesting space called missing. Now remember, this is not about making people wrong, but about finding what is missing, and if we could put that into place, the ball would move forward. Let me give an example of missing. Very often people blame themselves and say, you know, I'm not fit enough, and the trouble with me is that I am a procrastinator and I'm lazy. And that's a making wrong conversation. However, a missing conversation is very different. A missing conversation asks, what is missing, if available, could change the game. For someone who wants to get fit, it could be what is missing is an alarm clock. What is missing is a buddy. What is missing is gym shoes. And if it were there, I would be able to move the ball forward. So do use the co-creation canvas to give feedback to your employees. And there are many different models of doing that. This is a simple, and actually, should I say, does not make the employee feel wrong, and actually co-creates an answer with them. You may also want to coach your team, individuals in your team, using fact and fiction. You know that this is the axis that we had covered earlier, so do use this to uncover how to coach your team members. You may have also instituted things like, in managing my teams, I have started daily huddles so that we are all on the same page, we know what each one is doing, and therefore we are able to manage our teams better. So in summary over here, you want to refer to these competencies. What is it that you have done using these competencies in the context of these projects? Alright, the other 2 competencies that we looked at, managing change. One of the change that you want to do is the project itself. The project itself calls for handling change, and we covered Kotter's change model, and you remember the book that we talked about, Our Iceberg is Melting. How did you increase urgency? Did you build a guiding team? And how did you call your team together and cast a vision for them for a buy-in? Now remember, when we are talking about casting vision, you must be inspirational for your team. We covered some of the practices around that. You remember how we did the NLP exercise for switching yourself on. So key part of it, your enthusiasm for managing change. And by the way, if you remember that we said the word enthusiasm comes from entheo, which means literally God inside. So when you are switched on, you can handle your change much better. The next competency is about collaborative relationship, building collaborative relationship. And the big tool over here was the stakeholder trust net. Do tell your leadership as you are going through this project that as we did this project, I used the stakeholder trust net to build this competency of collaborative relationship. How did you practice calm professionalism during breakdowns? And how did you handle your breakdowns well? In new projects, this is such a given. The next thing is the tools within building collaborative relationships is for new projects. And this is truly only for new projects. If you're not done a new project, that's different. But including shared histories, literally sitting around the room, particularly before a project takes off, and sharing your history. Where did you come from? What did you learn? What are the skill sets that you have? And importantly, getting each person to commit to the group. What can you count on me for? Hey, listen, we are going to get onto the call in a while, and if you've been able to watch this video, it will be great. We'll be recovering some of these things, and then we will be setting ourselves up, getting ready for the big day on the 6th of December. So thanks for watching and listening to this, and I'm going to see you in a bit. Thank you. This is Bert signing off.